Alright, it's your boy Potato Head Ahoy. I feel like I should be smoking me a cigar or something, but I don't feel like going upstairs. So today I'll just have me a nice piece of snus or portion of snus, whatever. It's Al Capone vanilla because you can't get much the good shit in Japan. But oh well. Now today's topic is Limp Bizkit and Death Grips and how they're basically the same band. Like as much of a joke as that sounds, like you got Death Grips, you got like this totally kind of like avant-garde, whacked out experimental hip hop punk band that um talks about how people are disenfranchised, how you feel fucked over sometimes by unmerited contingencies and that kind of shit. And while at the same time kind of like getting into this kind of almost neurotic state of mind where you're thinking about like killing people or like and the more and more I kind of think about that kind of shit, the topics that Death Grips gets into and the soundscape they use to convey it, it's like, oh, that's Limp Bizkit, Like Limp Bizkit was angry. Limp Bizkit used a heavy style. They didn't, they combined hip hop and metal, and it wasn't really much of a thing till later on, when new metal, the slew of new metal bands came out, and it was like oversaturated to the point of death, but at the same time, it's kind of like they're very reductive and they use an angry sound to convey an angry emotion in a very simple way, and that's very punk rock of them to do. And I was like, that's punk, that's hardcore. That's like it might be a little bit different because like hardcore is like just go fast, go fast, go fast, go fast. But like, but yeah, and I mean Limp Bizkit, the main problem that Limp Bizkit had, I think, was they weren't technical. And asking a punk rock band to be technical is kind of a fucking stupid idea, if you ask me. I mean, like, think about it. Like, fucking, did Johnny Rotten, when, think, oh, hey, let me write a fucking Shakespearean screenplay about how I want to say fuck you to everybody, like, no, that, it's just, I'm pissed, fuck you. It's simple shit. There doesn't have to be this pretentiousness of how how technical something is. Like, it's deconstructive, it's simple, it's angry, and that's kind of the core of what both of those bands are doing. And from experience, the people I've played with in bands and stuff, at least the people who are into hardcore like Limp Bizkit and they like new metal, like they say, like the vocalist in the band that I used to be in, he knew much more about the hardcore scene than I ever did, and we talked about the Pixies and we talked about like I don't know, we talked about the Melvins, we talked about like fucking Chugakse Kanoke and like Cupid Crazy and High Technology Suicide and Strawberry Song Orchestra and all these like Japanese hardcore bands and stuff like that. And it was like, but eventually the conversation shifted to Limp Bizkit, and we were like, this Limp Bizkit, this is pretty good, man. Yeah, this is pretty good, man. So I think there was, I think why, but I mean, like, well, one, I think they had a lot of people not understanding Limp Bizkit, and it's like, I know that's such a typical way of saying it, right? But yeah, I mean, Limp Bizkit never set out to be technical, and they never set out to be Shakespearean. And, they were simple and angry, and but different and in a way that was cohesive. Like looking at Death Grips, they have kind of this hardcore influence, especially if you listen to ex-military, the samples they're using are from like Black Flag and like that and Rumble and stuff like that. It's early punk rock and like early punk rock and hardcore and stuff like that. And so like you know they come from these places, but they're I wouldn't say people who like straight hardcore like Death Grips, and I wouldn't say people who like metal like Limp Bizkit. I think they just kind of have their own following from people who may have like it doesn't matter as much that in itself had a background, but I think Death Grips had it was just a matter of Death Grips coming from a scene that allowed for more experimentation and allowed for them to be a little more deconstructive in what they were doing. And it's not to say, I mean, what they're doing is just like what they're doing. I think is, I think the punk, I think the basic kind of spirit of punk rock is give me something to scream about, like give me this short quotable message that's compelling in nature that expresses these emotions that I have, and I think that's kind of the main function of both bands, except I think Death Grips is doing it with, I think, both the soundscape and the lyricism. They're both I think it's very no nonsense, the lyricism, I mean, with Death Grips, but I think it commands more authority just because of how much more morbid it can be and how much more angry it is, But at its core, I think they're kind of similar. They have that similarity there. Yeah.